rolling.
Okay, Ms. Hurd, there are a lot of young filmmakers who have stories about starting with Roger Corman and New World Pictures. What convinced him to hire you?
I was really quite lucky in that I had someone championing my cause before I even met him. I'd gone to Stanford University in Northern California, and my professor for 3 different classes in the communications department had gone to work for Roger as head of production, and he actually came to me as opposed to my applying to him, which I know is a very unusual experience.
Okay. Now, I'd like to talk about one of your first films, The Terminator. Now, that was a pretty unusual film. Was that written with Arnold Schwarzenegger in mind?
Actually, it wasn't. Arnold came to mind after he'd done Conan, but initially we had thought that anyone could play that part. He made it larger than life.
Then after that, you tackled Aliens. Now, was there any hesitation on your part on taking on a sequel? Because usually people are a little bit wary. They'll say you can't make it as good. You did. But was there any hesitation about that?
There's always hesitation about doing a sequel, and you're always wondering if you're going to be given the kind of budget to do it right and the cast. And very early on, there was a little bit of disagreement as to whether or not we'd bring Sigourney back, and it was extremely important. In fact, it would have been a deal breaker if they had not agreed to bring back Sigourney. So when we knew we had Sigourney, we felt that we could make it a great movie because she's such an excellent actress.
Okay. Now, a lot has been made about The Abyss and about the difficult shooting schedule, but you have I guess a habit of talking to the crew and giving them a talk before the shooting starts. What did you say to the Abyss crew?
I start out by saying this is the toughest shoot you are ever going to embark on, and it is not for the squeamish. You know, there are going to be times that you're going to want to cry, there are times that you're going to want to scream, and hopefully there are going to be times when, after you see the dailies, you'll realize that we're creating something quite wonderful, and it'll make it all worthwhile. The problem, of course, was that no one takes you quite seriously until they're in the midst of it, and they realize what they've embarked on. And now that the filming is over, they're really quite pleased, and in fact, everyone's really almost emotional about having to break up the unit.
When you were shooting the film, there were some other underwater films coming out, like Leviathan and Deep Star 6. Was there any worries on your part about any similarities in the story at all?
We had heard very early on that those films were very much monster movies. They were horror films, and this film, while it's very intense, is certainly more emotionally intense than it is anything else. And the love story aspect was something that our film did not share with those films, and we felt that the only thing that we had in common with the other pictures was the setting, and it really didn't worry us at all.
Okay. Now, as producer, you're carrying a lot of the weight of the production on your shoulders. You're deflecting a lot of the pressure off the director. What did you do to keep your sanity during the shooting in South Carolina?
I brought my horses down, actually, and I tried to go riding. I find that lets off a lot of steam, and you tend to not worry too much about problems when you've got an 1,100 pound horse arguing with you. So you, at that point, manage to completely forget all the problems and tensions that you're dealing with 24 hours a day.
I've always had a great interest in how movies are promoted. Now, The Abyss seems like it's a little bit a hard film to put a handle on. How involved are you in the promotional end of that?
We work very closely with the marketing people at 20th Century Fox, and they have tried to get as much as they could from us in terms of input, since they feel that the filmmakers have already embarked on creating some sort of style for the film, and we work very closely with them on the trailer.
Okay. Were you ever worried that there might be too much hype surrounding the movie at all?
I worried much less about that than I did about too little hype. It was a summer with a lot of pre-sold movies, from Batman through the latest Indiana Jones and the sequel to Ghostbusters, and I was never worried that we would have too much hype, because I think you have to make the audience aware of the film before you can convince them to see it.
Okay. Now, everybody has, I think a lot of actors, producers, they keep souvenirs from every film. From your last 3 movies, from The Terminator and from Aliens, I guess I'm skipping one, and this one, what do you have laying around the apartment or from the house that you keep as a keepsake?
Well, from the Terminator, there's a stop-motion armature about this large that was used from the final sequences. From Aliens, I have actually a great photograph of Sigourney with the alien queen. And from this picture, I've got a lot of scuba equipment.